button shooting versus rhythm shooting. What's easier? How big is the green window size? What the overall make percentage is? We have all the answers in this video, and you're going to want to stay for the whole thing because if you don't, you might miss something very important. First, let's go over the basics of how rhythm shooting works. Baluba said in a post that rhythm shooting is basically all about mastering your shot's unique tempo. There's still an ideal timing point for when to push the pro stick, but you don't have to green the timing to make the shot. However, the better you time the release, the more wiggle room you have to match the tempo. After testing each input in the same exact scenario with a modded controller, it turns out that button shooting and rhythm shooting both share the same exact peak make percentage at 87 and 88% respectively. With that being said, they are completely different in terms of how they work, and they can't exactly be compared one to one. Let's take a look at button shooting, and before we do, just be aware that the reason you won't see 100% make rate from end to end is due to the fact that there are micro timing changes depending on factors like your jump shot animation and the exact distance from the basket. But if you want to learn more about that, you can check out our video on how to shoot in NBA 2K26. But this particular jump shot that we tested has a green window size of 555 milliseconds to 610 milliseconds. And if you release on the edges of this green window with the button, the make percentage is very low, with percentages of 25 and 24% on the early edge and 23% on the later edge. But as we get to the middle, we can see the 87% make rate at 580 milliseconds, representing a near perfect release. And from 580 to 590 milliseconds, that 10 millisecond stretch basically guarantees a green release. But outside of that, the drop off in make percentage is pretty significant, falling below 60%, making it much less forgiving than rhythm shooting, and it really only rewards jump shooters with very precise timing. Now let's look at the results for rhythm shooting. On this chart, we can see the push timing on the y-axis and the tempo timing on the x-axis, and then the make percentage for each combination. The timings are grouped on the right, so whenever you see a slightly early white make, they timed it in that 510 to 530 millisecond range, and so on. For those that don't know, the push timing represents the exact moment you push the stick to start your tempo. So not the flick down to start the jump shot, but the moment you start your way back up. The tempo timing on the x-axis represents how long it takes from that initial push to the release of the stick throw. So a 50 millisecond tempo would mean it takes 50 milliseconds from the moment you start the push timing to the finish of your stick throw. As you can see, there is a ton of combinations where you'll likely see a green release. The ideal timing spot for rhythm shooting would be anywhere from 520 milliseconds to 590 milliseconds on the push timing, and then 35 to 60 milliseconds on the tempo timing, where each combination in that green rectangle sees a make percentage of no less than 60%, with even better releases sitting in the high 70s to 80% make rate. What makes stick shooting even better is the fact that there is very much makeable timings even outside that green rectangle, giving you the ultimate forgiveness. So while we can't exactly quantify the green window size of rhythm shooting, it appears to roughly be 2 times bigger than that of button shooting when considering both push timing and tempo inputs. This is likely why it's considered easier to shoot with the stick over the button. And even Baluba said before the game released that rhythm shooting is really helpful if you have bad internet and unpredictable latency, and it's probably for this reason. But with all that being said, NBA 2K26 is just much easier to shoot in general no matter which input you use. And if you're consistent with the button, you may not see a huge difference in your shooting splits. But overall, rhythm shooting is definitely worth it to try and learn, especially if you've been struggling with your shot. But that is all we have for the button versus rhythm shooting topic, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like. It's been Spill, and I'm out. Later.